Asherlo. It'll be grand.
Ba weep grana weep ninny bong. And welcome everyone back to Sure to Be Grand, a podcast with two Irish Egypts, usually. Because today we have the honour, the privilege, and the annoyance to having one of our dear friends, Kevin McCoy, on the podcast to join us in watching the Transformers movie 1986. Say hello, Owen.
Hi, Dan. I'm very proud of you that you got the universal greeting.
Yeah, I saw your face clench a little bit.
90% correct. You paused at the end to collect yourself. So well done.
Yeah, and say hello, Kevin.
Hello, Kevin. I'm glad to be an annoyance on the show.
Yeah, there you go. Very good. Folks. Welcome back to Sure to Be Grand. Today we're watching quite a nostalgic movie for a lot of people who are not our age necessarily, but older. You know, the later Gen Xers, I suppose. Would that be fair to say?
Pretty fair to say, I think. I mean, it's late 80s, so that sounds about right.
Yeah. So this was called The Movie. This was the movie came out after 2 seasons of the cartoon. Apparently, when they were making this movie, they were still working the cartoon at the same time, and they did a massive time skip for this movie, I guess, to make things make sense.
Yeah, and it was called The Transformers, the movie.
Yeah, it was. Okay, yeah, it was. Yeah. I've written that out a million times, and I haven't copped that yet. Yeah. Okay.
The Transformers, the movie.
Yeah, you would have just said The Transformers movie, or
Transformers the movie. But I guess the TV show was called The Transformers.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Gotta stay on brand.
That's
director.
All this is.
That's all
Staying
this is.
On brand.
This is brand.
Yeah,
this is what this movie is. Yeah. So we have director Nelson Shin. We have the writer Ron Friedman, and we have quite a few stars on the cast as well. I was told, surprisingly, not all of the voice actors from the show carried on over to the movie, because they wanted bigger, more important voices. But you know, some of the voices on this, Orson Welles, I think his last movie.
I think this killed him.
Yeah, he has this wonderful thing quote about the movie, and it's so wonderful that even the Transformers wiki, which you would imagine is a fan of Transformers, has put the most slated line that Orson Welles ever said about the show and the movie itself. He went, the Japanese have funded a full-length animation cartoon about the doings of these toys, which is all bad outer space stuff. I play a planet, I menace somebody called something or other, then I'm destroyed. My plan to destroy whoever it is thwarted, and I tear myself apart on the screen.
Yes. Now do it in his voice.
You can do it if you want.
Hang on. No, I don't have the quote in front of me. I can't. Sorry.
I can get you if you want the quote. I can send it on,
No, it's fine. They manipulated his voice in the movie anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, which is weird because you would have thought they wanted that very legit Orson Welles voice.
The director said when he came to the studio to record his lines, he was like really old and sick, and he didn't know his lines because he had never read the script until he turned up at the studio, didn't know what was happening, and his voice came out like really frail, and he like refused to take any direction or anything. He just sat in the booth, said them once, and left. And they were like, well, his voice doesn't sound like the powerful like thing we want for Unicron, so they put a lot of like modulations and stuff on it to make it sound cool.
That's kind of sad, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's also the whole movie.
Yeah.
They just put a whole lot of modulations on it to make it not sound sad.
But Orson Welles is not the only big name that's on this. Also Leonard Nimoy, Robert Stack, a lot of the, Optimus Prime, the voice of Optimus Prime returns, Peter Cullen, for the movie, and I believe Peter Cullen has basically been Optimus Prime, bar a few exceptions, forever and ever.
Yeah, from my knowledge, he was actually born as a truck.
Okay. It's
he was born for the role.
it's an interesting thing. Apparently, he based his voice on his brother, who was a man who was in the army, I believe, in Vietnam War, and he tried to stick very close to that tone. And it was literally he was going to hit the audition, and his brother asked him what it was about, and he kind of went, "Yeah, I think I'm going to use that voice."
He was
And that voice came out.
he was a soldier.
His brother was.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like Optimus Prime, you
Yeah,
know?
I know. It's just like you said, he was a man who was in the army. Like you forgot. The
Oh yeah, no,
word.
he was just a cook, you know.
Like, did he fight? Was
I
he
believe
just,
even the cooks
commanding
are
aura.
part of the army.
he was just a clerk or something?
He is the commanding presence of a tank janitor.
Yes, sure. Yes, that's who he was. But yeah, so this movie had quite a few popular voice actors in it, and this was a big deal for like cartoon movies at the time, I believe. The Transformers were a big phenomenon, and the fact that they decided to make a movie was huge. And I believe it actually did financially very well, and children at the time loved it. But should we get into that? That maybe children born after this may have not loved it as much.
What the hell is going on?
A quick synopsis of the plot.
Oh, I can't wait to hear
The
this.
plot.
Okay.
Okay.
I think Orson Welles gave the quickest synopsis of the plot already.
Yeah.
That quote he
Yeah,
gave.
you know what? How could we improve on Orson Welles, to be fair? All right, so we're in space, and this large mechanical planet is slowly moving through the cosmos, which, at least from what I can tell, is primarily made up of robots. Like, biological life seems to be rare in the Transformers universe. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the only biological life we meet in this movie are the two humans that pal around with the Transformers.
Yeah, Daniel and his dad.
Spike?
Another Daniel.
Yeah.
Spike, yeah.
Spike was his name, yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird that the dad was named Spike and not the son, now that I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it. The 80s for you.
Yeah, I don't know. Was Daniel just a popular name for like a child?
I mean, we
Person.
had Daniel San from The
That's
Karate Kid just
what I'm
last
wondering.
week's episode,
Yeah.
and now we have Daniel here, and they all seem gormless.
Yeah, we also have Daniel in the
Yeah,
podcast.
also Gormless.
Yeah, that's very fair. But yeah, okay, we have this big, massive, that's no moon, big robotic moon flying through space, and it gobbles up one of just a planetoid of mechanical beings. I don't think we're even told what that one is. I think it's like a is it related to even the Cybertronians or Cybertronians? What are they called?
The Transformers?
I think it's just a random. I think it's.
Look, it's Unicron. It's a big metal planet that eats other planets and eats Transformers and Autobots and stuff. That's all you're going to get.
Energon.
There's nothing
Yeah,
else to, like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. Okay, fair
Let's
enough.
not question it.
I think the planet. I think the planet he eats does get named by the prisoner later in the movie, but he's speaking through a fan, so we don't know what he actually said.
Yeah. And, very quickly we also see it to start eating one of the moons of Cybertron. I think there's 2 or 3 moons or something like that.
There's 3.
2 they mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, he eats one at the start, and then there are still 2 left afterwards. So I'm assuming there was 3.
Yeah, and I think it's on that one where we see Daniel's dad and Bumblebee.
They're on
Being
Moon
absolute-
Base 2.
Yeah, and
Or
they're
are they?
seeing the
I
other.
don't know.
Well, they've seen one of the moons being eaten alive, and Daniel's dad goes, "Oh shit!" Something along the lines of that. When I say along the lines of that, I don't mean like, "Oh no, he doesn't swear." No, he actually looks at the moon and goes, "Oh shit!"
Well,
Which is
yeah,
the
He does.
him and Bumblebee set off a giant explosion on Unicron, and it does nothing. And then he looks at Bumblebee and says, "Oh shit! What are we gonna do now?" And they run away.
Yeah,
And all of us kind of went, did he
Yeah.
just, was that a curse? Huh?
Yeah.
All right then. This is the
Yeah.
80s.
And then we shoot towards Cybertron, and they've decided to leave Cybertron for reasons I don't even remember anymore.
Who?
To go to the Cyber City that they've built on Earth.
The Autobots are, at the start of the movie, they're on one of the moon bases also, all of them. They've been kicked off of Cybertron by the Decepticons, and they have to go back to Autobot City to collect Energon to bring back to Cybertron to use to defeat Megatron and take back Cybertron.
Does that ever happen?
No, because the Decepticons are listening in on this entire conversation, and they just like send every soldier they have to attack Autobot City, and the next 60 minutes is just chaos.
You're missing out on that weird scene where it's Hot Rod is just sitting next to Daniel fishing.
The one moment of peace in the movie, yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, it just felt a little bit creepy. I'll let listeners decide for themselves what they think there. But anyway, and they race towards the city, trying to defend it. And I think they just throw every single Transformers team at the city. We get like the Dinobots, the Insectobots.
Yeah.
We get those bots that they like form together to make a giant transformer, and always makes me think like, why don't they just beat up Megatron at this stage and take over? But they don't. They're trying to break in, and so Megatron's there to kill Optimus Prime, which seems to be his goal in life in general. And the battle kind of goes on, and at a very fatal moment, Hot Rod tries to come into the fight and help Optimus Prime, and he gets grabbed by Megatron as a hostage, and Megatron then shoots Optimus Prime a whole bunch of times in the side. Like Megatron is a ace shooter and like shoots in exactly the same vulnerable point like 4 or 5 times.
Well, I mean, he's a robot, so he shouldn't have any problem shooting in one spot.
He's also technically a gun.
Yes.
So
he should be even better at shooting than most Transformers.
Yeah. You'd think. Megatron eventually gets kicked away, and Optimus Prime is dying. And
spoiler alert for people who haven't known about that for the past 30 years.
Yeah. And
40 years even.
Yeah, he's ready to hand over the matrix of leadership to his friend, Ultra Magnus.
Like, that was a pretty big deal at the time, too.
Yeah.
The fact that
he was a hero.
They killed Optimus was kind of...
yeah.
I think a comment we had on Facebook about this movie came in from Richie, who said that the death of Optimus Prime was the biggest thing about the movie, and that kids were like crying and leaving the cinema and everything after watching it. But
that explains why so many people are nostalgic for it.
Yeah, because I guess for anybody who was like a kid in the 80s watching the Transformers, the cartoon on TV, Optimus was their hero. Optimus was the big, I want to be Optimus when I grow up. And then the movie came out and they were all, oh my God, we're getting a movie. I can't wait to go watch Transformers in the cinema. And then in the first 15 minutes, Optimus dies.
And the thing is, if you look at all the marketing for it, they always had Optimus in the center. He was the big, massive icon of all the posters.
He's Optimus Prime. He is the Transformer. And they killed him.
Yeah.
Like 15 minutes in.
Yeah. Like I could feel like, let's say if they did like an hour and a half in or something like that. But that was like ballsy to do it so early in the movie.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. It wasn't a choice made by the writing team or the director or anything to be like, you know what, we're going to make this big play here and it's time for Optimus Prime to move on. We're bringing in the new team. Yeah. We're updating the Transformers. It was just Hasbro saying, we need to sell new toys. Bigger, more expensive toys. Optimus has sold enough. He's gone. Welcome Hot Rod and some other guy who looks like Optimus, but we don't know his name.
I think you mean Ultra Magnus, who is clearly definitely, without a doubt, going to be the next big hero here. That's
Yeah.
definitely what the movie's trying to tell us.
He's Optimus. He looks like Optimus Prime, but his colors are reversed.
Yeah, the guy. Yeah.
yeah,
Like sometimes seeing them on the same screen is confusing.
yeah. I mean, I definitely saw him a couple of times and went, why have they taken off the faceplate of Optimus Prime? Like, that's weird.
Yeah,
But,
I remember
so-
you saying that.
Optimus Prime is dying, and he starts to take out the Matrix of Leadership, which is this like crystal ball thing in between two clamps,
Mhm.
I guess, and it gives you a connection to the Matrix, where like all the power and energon and all the past history and knowledge. MacGuffin.
It's the
thing.
MacGuffin of this movie.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, the
And-
movie doesn't bother with any exposition at all.
And again, computers and robots, they're very precise, and Optimus tries to hand it over and he drops over because he's butterfingered.
Yeah.
And
And then
it's-
Optimus Beta, or whatever the hell the guy's name is, puts it in his chest, even though it's already in his chest.
no, you're missing a big plot point. Owen. You're missing a
Oh,
big
I know.
plot point.
Hot Rod picks it up first. All right.
And they had a massive
Yeah.
fanfare. There's a huge amount of light behind him. Like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
And then he hands it
Okay.
over to Ultra Magnus, and no one thinks, wait, hold on. Do you all see that maybe Hot Rod is the guy now because he touched it first? Isn't that how it works? And like no one
Well,
seems to mention
see,
that.
they don't know. They don't know what the Matrix is or does or is for, other than there seems to be some sort of like chosen, not even a chosen one mythology, but there's some sort of like cult-like status around this thing that all they know is that this thing will save them in their darkest moment, and they need to keep it.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe Hot Rod, maybe they just thought Hot Rod was having a moment because he was holding it. He just stood there for 10 seconds going,
I mean, he
"I'm holding
he has
the
a
Matrix."
few moments in this movie.
Oh, he does. Some interesting voice acting, to say
Yeah.
the least, for the Hot Rod.
Oh, Judd
but yeah.
Nelson.
Yeah, Judd Nelson. So we see the Decepticons, and they're on their way back to Cybertron. Starscream is just throwing everyone who's wounded or dead out of the ship, which is a choo-choo train. Do you want to talk about your favorite Transformers, Colin?
Astro Train.
Yeah, it's a fucking choo-choo train, man.
Yeah,
Well, 'cause
this one.
this was my favorite part of the whole movie, maybe, I guess. Just in the like 20-minute chaos of the battle of Autobot City or whatever the hell at the start of the movie. It's just them throwing toys at the screen, as many as they could possibly think of. Just every Transformer you can name, which for me is about 3. They're just throwing toys at the screen and everybody's there. And then just in the midst of it, they just show random people turning into things. Like there's a guy who pops out and he turns into a tape deck for some reason. He shoots cassette tapes out of his chest that also turn into little things too. And then there's just
You know,
this
worst
one.
thing is, the worst thing is, I know so many people who love Transformers who are you could be listening to this going, you fucking.
Oh, there's
dickhead."
definitely people out there going, excuse me, that's fucking Tapicon,
Yeah.
and he's the most important Optimus Tapicon, whatever. I don't know. But he's there for some reason. I don't know what UC has in a battle. He might be, I think, because the music is so constant in this movie, I think he's just standing in the background pressing play on himself and just playing tunes.
Oh yeah, should we talk about the music? Here?
Well, just
Kevin,
ju-
you said this.
just to finish off.
Yes. I
But-
said.
Astral Train.
Oh yeah.
This guy turns up. He's a Decepticon, and when the Decepticons, Megatron has been defeated. I guess kind of. I don't know. He falls around a bit, and Optimus is dead. So everybody else just ignores him for the time being. And the Decepticons go, "We gotta get out of here. Follow me." And this one guy just turns into a choo-choo train.
Yeah, and like
it's
a proper
literally-
like steam.
It's literally like the front of Thomas the Tank Engine, but purple. And they all jump
Yeah.
in the back of him, and then he flies into
Oh.
space.
I just had a thought. What if they put the face on from the Transformers face would be on the front like Thomas the Tank Engine?
They
Now
should
that
have.
would be great.
They could have. It would have been.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been out of place.
But talking about music in this movie,
That-
Kevin.
Okay, so before we watched this movie together, I said to Dan that this is just a music video with a plot, and afterwards I had to apologize because I forgot it didn't have a plot.
Didn't have
So-
a plot at all. No.
This was a hour and a half music video,
Yeah,
or it was longer than that.
but
It's a long music video.
there's no downtime for the music. It's constantly playing. There's some song
Hmm.
constantly going. Like I don't remember there's any part of the movie where there wasn't just like some
Nope.
guy
It's
riffing
all
a
like
guitar.
it's all 80s hair metal power ballads, and they play the same
And-
song 2 or 3 times, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one Weird Al Yankovic number in the middle.
What?
Yeah, there's a Weird
Um,
Al number about halfway
yeah.
through that just kind of plays, and everyone's like, "Yeah, this is normal."
Yeah, there's a scene where they're on the junk planet, and the Mad Max chase. They're playing Dare to Be Stupid.
Oh, that's a fair. Okay, I didn't even. I suppose at that stage I wasn't really paying attention anymore. But yeah,
Yeah, the music does not fit most of the scenes it's in.
yeah. I mean, it's great songs, but yeah. So Megatron was thrown out to the ship on the way back because he's wounded, and Starscream always wants to have more power, and they go on their way. And this is when Megatron eventually, I suppose, bumps into our big planet person.
Unicron, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think he deserves a name, but sure. And
He's an in-depth character, Dan. I don't know what you're talking about.
yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking there.
He has so many defining character traits. He eats planets.
He turns from a planet into a bigger transformer, and he's got
does.
glass eyes.
Glass eyes, yeah.
We'll get that. We'll have to go over that.
Yeah, we do, because they use the bomb trying to destroy him, but we'll get there.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we'll get to that point.
But yeah, and Galvatron, Megatron, eventually gets won over by Unicron and says, "Look, you'll be my herald." Basically, he's basically Galactus, isn't it? It's a Galactus story.
He's not won over. He's literally, Unicron says, "Do this for me, or I will destroy you right now on the spot."
Yeah.
And
That would win
Megatron
me
says,
over.
"Oh, okay, fine, cool, yeah, I'll do it."
Yeah,
Whoops.
and he gets turned into Galvatron, and he has some other Decepticons like Cyclonus, Scourge, and Sweeps, and they all get turned into.
They're not named in the movie, are they?
I think they're probably named in the cartoon, and
I think one of them got named, and it was like, this is Cyclonus and his hunters, or something like that. I can't remember because it was in a Transformer voice.
also it was in a Transformers movie.
Yes, yes.
And Unicron gives him a sweet ship that I instantly forgot about once they showed it once. I guess it's for toys. And they fly on their way. And we kind of go back over to what the rest of the Decepticons are doing. Starscream is currently on a stage being crowned by the other Decepticons, while there's Transformers, Decepticons I should say, playing trumpets for him that he doesn't like. I just need that
Why did he
silence
give him
there
the
for a while.
trumpets? Why did he
Yeah.
give him the trumpets?
Yeah, and here's the thing I've asked, and I know, look, they're stupid, dumb robots in space, right?
Mhm.
But they don't have lungs, do they?
No, they have engines.
I
Maybe.
like that.
I don't
They
actually-
decided
I don't actually
not
know.
to.
They have exhaust vents.
Yeah, they have exhaust fans. Like
They
it gets
also
them-
could have been digital trumpets.
Yeah, but that raises
You mean
further
the-
questions.
It's like
man.
it's like those battery powered ones you get from
Yeah,
like for
just-
€5.
It just digitally approximates the noise that a trumpet would make, which I
But
assume
again-
is how the Transformers speak anyway.
Why do they have trumpets then?
I don't know.
Because they want to experience music.
Yeah, they've got they're
they
people
don't.
just like us, but they're made from robotic parts. I don't know, man. Nothing about the Transformers makes any sense. Nothing. None of it. Zero. There's not a
Yeah.
single thing about it that makes any sense.
You know what? You're right. Okay, you're right.
Yeah, we can continue to poke logical inconsistencies for all the live long day,
Well, I think
but
like,
we'll get nowhere.
so we all watched it together, right? And
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say that every, let's say 30 seconds or so, I went, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. What's going on here? I think that was
You're
basically my narrative for the entire movie.
Yeah. I think you're being too harsh on yourself. It was every 40 seconds.
Okay, maybe, perhaps. so the Autobots are, and so eventually the Autobots and the Dinobots and probably some other bots decide to come along and use a spaceship to get back to, I want to say, Cybertron? Because I'm not really sure. They just decide to leave, and I think they're trying to get to Cybertron.
Wait, no, hang on. No, they're on Earth, and then Unicron is eating the moon, and Bumblebee and the kid's dad are like in trouble. I think they might be going towards them, and then they get attacked by the Decepticons again.
Right.
And they all flee.
Yes.
This is Decepticons now that are ran by Galvatron.
This is the
during Starscream,
Yeah.
religious moments, he just punched
yeah.
Autumn dead. Really vivid, dark death. Like Starscream turned black and fell apart into ashes.
Yeah, and then Galvatron never uses that weapon again.
Really doesn't. No.
Not once. No, he turned into it once to show what the toy would look like.
Yeah.
But then he remained in his humanoid form for the rest of the movie.
You're just like Galvatron. You can turn into a weapon that one shot KOs every other Transformer. Why aren't you doing that constantly? Just turn into that thing and kill them all. But it was like it's like the Quicksilver thing in Days of Future Past. A bit. They're just like, hang on, no, he can't really. It's a cool scene though, so we can't get rid of it. But he can't do that all the time, can he? Because otherwise the movie is done. It doesn't make sense anymore. There's nothing. If Galvatron can just kill them all instantly, then where's the stakes here? We need to sell toys.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the part where they're sieging on the escaping Autobots, and all the Autobots are getting onto the ship, and Galvatron flies by in his own plane. He has a plane. He can't turn into one, but he has one. He flies by, shoots at them. They shoot a flamethrower at him, and then you can see him in his cockpit shaking his fist like they just stepped on his yard.
He just comes back and he's like, "Hey, you kids, I'll get you yet, you damn Autobots."
At some stage here, and this is where I didn't catch it, like Galvatron steals the Matrix of Leadership.
Yeah,
like he gets a hold of it.
After the Autobots flee, and then their ship blows up or whatever, and they all crash land on different planets. And Optimus Beta has the Matrix, and he crashes, and Galvatron's cronies find him and rip him to pieces and take the Matrix of whatever.
Which doesn't kill him, by the way.
Well, I think he's dead, but then they bring him back to life through the power of interpretive dance.
No, let's not get to the universal greeting just yet, okay?
We're a bit too far ahead now.
Yeah. So who is it that gets So two of them land on a ship, on a planet, and there's fish that are made of robots. There's octopuses that are made of robots.
Hot Rod and the war veteran guy.
Yeah, G9 or G2 or something like that.
Cup, I think, was his name.
Cup. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
He's the worst name of all the Transformers, surely.
Spelled K-U-P. Yeah.
Cup.
Okay.
Everyone's favorite Transformer, Cup.
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. I think the reason I said G1 is that's actually one of his titles. I think is one of his classifications. But yeah. So he kind of gets his leg put back on because it fell off during the crash, and they come out of the water, and they're these weird are they crocodile robot Transformers?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you know what, we'll just stick with that because there's no point in going deeper in. And Hot Rod is like, oh shit, no, these things are going to kill us. And Cup just comes like that, chill, I've been around the block, I know how to deal with this. And he just goes to them, ba weep drana weep in bong.
No.
No, you
okay.
No,
sorry.
But you messed it up. You did too
master,
many.
You go ahead.
Ba weep grana weep ninny bong.
Okay, he says that, and suddenly they all kind of chill. and they take out energon chips, which I assume they're chips because they're small little squares, and they start feeding them. And they went, that's all we have. And then they turn aggressive. And there's a big fight, and they get...
Cup and Hot Rod decide to feed these random creatures the energon that they needed at the start of the movie to save their home planet.
Yep, that happens.
Yeah.
Because we don't need it anymore, I guess. Fuck Cybertron. We need to save our own lives.
Yeah. Yeah, they get dragged off to this weird like courtroom, I guess is the best way to say it. And
it's like, is it like Thunderdome? I don't know what it is really.
Well, the wiki describes it as a kangaroo court.
Yeah. Which again, like, I guess they've been long around on Earth to know what a kangaroo is, or is it just is it like crabs, as in they just appear all throughout the universe? It's like,
well, no, the wiki calls it a kangaroo court. I don't think the movie says that.
Yeah, no, I don't think they've ever said it in the movie.
Like, just whoever wrote the wiki is calling it a kangaroo court. The super sarcastic Transformers wiki, by the way. I get the impression that whoever wrote most of it hates the Transformers.
Yeah,
it's a great read.
Right, yeah. So they get, like, we kind of find out there's a survivor of the planet that was first gobbled up by Unicron at the beginning, and they're saying this court is really broken and there's no way to really get out of it. You have to, like, fight your way out. And, you know, he gets taken off and gets killed almost immediately. It's very convenient that they let him stay around for just enough time to know what this place is about.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, I love him. It's the only exposition we ever get in the movie. It's this one guy saying, "Yeah, this is a court. Later."
This is a court. Also, Ultron ate my planet. They're gonna kill me now.
Yeah.
Or not Ultron.
Ultron.
Unicron.
Yeah.
James Spader ate my home planet.
Yeah. So they go in front of the and this is where you'll have to help me out completely. There is this floating robot with 5 faces.
Yeah.
That just shifts between them, and they say, "Oh, they're innocent," and then drops them into a giant vat full of Sharkatrons, I believe the name was.
Sharkacons.
Sharkacons.
Anything that's bad ends in con, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a con to whoever. I don't fucking.
Except for Megatron, their leader.
Yeah.
He's not Megacon. Anyway, they're shark robots.
Yeah. And
they're not even shark robots.
They're ancient fish robots.
Yeah. But yeah, so what they do is they decide, hey, immediately, without even talking about it, to go around the edge of the pool and just create a whirlpool to get out of it. And they start fighting the sharks out on the top platform as the Dinobots come in. And like, I think the Dinobots like debilitated like the judges and stuff. Like at least one of them.
The Dinobots come in and like the T-Rex Dinobot, their leader, like roars really loudly, and the sharks are immediately like, okay, he's our boss now. And whatever the T-Rex is like, oh, me thinks you should eat them, and the sharks attack the judges and the tentacle armed guy and pull them apart.
You mean Grimlock?
Yeah, Grimlock, that's him.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I was going to call him Burlock, and I was like, "That's not it." No.
Hey, look! If there's any listeners who still care for us at this stage after denouncing this movie,
we'll have lost even those by the end.
Yes,
but like
we're going to say some worse shit.
If you could, while you unlike our page and our social media, tell me why the Dinobots talk like they're stupid. I really want to know.
That's just a genuine question.
It's a genuine question. Like, what's the lore behind that? Why are the Dinobots idiots? Because it's still Transformers. Like, these are not cavemen Transformers. I don't think there's cavemen Transformers. You know?
Maybe. We don't know.
Hey, here's the thing, though, too, right? I was doing some brief browsing of the wiki last night, and I read some
Yes.
stuff about Grimlock, and that he's like one of the OG Transformers ever. And reading some of the things he's done in the past, he's not dumb. This guy
He just-
apparently like once he was like the leader of a super elite assault team that was fighting the bad guys like before Megatron existed and all
Right.
this kind of crap. And at one point he created a pocket dimension so he could hide vehicles in it just in case his team ever turned on him and he needed to flee.
So he doesn't trust his team.
I don't know, man. I think maybe he wasn't always a dinosaur. He was a regular transformer and somehow became a dinosaur bot.
Okay.
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah, because I know.
I miss the days when I was a Ferrari.
I remember, like in the comics and like in the current TV show, like Megatron's like 1 billion years old. Like this has been going on forever. I'm guessing in this universe, only a couple of 100 years each time or something like that. Because otherwise, that whole like I'm guessing. Look, I'm going to make a wild guess and assume that they took on the shape of dinosaurs because they came to Earth when dinosaurs was around, or were around even.
That's the Michael Bay reason. I don't know if that's the actual like in Transformers canon reason.
You think the Dinobots existed first?
Yeah.
And
Which came first, the Dinobot or the egg?
Yeah, biological life on early Earths grew to imitate the Dinobots.
It had to compete against the Dinobots, so it evolved similar traits. Yes, that's exactly how that worked.
Yeah, I think that's
remember-
our story.
Yeah, the paleontologists in the Transformers universe are really confused why they keep digging up car parts.
Yeah. Anyway, they fight over the court, and eventually I think the courts are called the Quintessence,
Again,
which makes sense.
don't know if that was in the
is-
movie. Might have been.
Yeah, but I think that's what they meant it to be, and they basically steal the Quintessence corkscrew spaceship,
Mm-hmm.
and they fly on their way, and they land on a place called Junkion, which is another planet where some of our other Transformers were there, including Spike's son, Daniel. And they're trying to... this is a beautiful moment. We're going to try and reenact it, right? I'm going to say, like, what happens in the scene. And you know where we're going here. Okay, cool. And, like,
Yeah.
Let's just say Springer. Yeah, Springer and Daniel are just running along, and there's gunshots happening, and there's Transformer robots on motorbikes jumping on top of each other and riding each other. They literally swap at one stage, and like Spike's son Daniel goes, "Oh, I don't know how to get away. They're too fast." He's in a robotic suit, and he goes, and Spring goes, "Huh, all you have to do is transform."
Absolutely not.
There you go.
No. I absolutely just no. I'm not standing for this anymore. I refuse to carry on. I cannot. I've taken so much shit on the chin from this movie, and if this little kid who is but like here's the thing, right? He's not like it's a mechanical suit that he's in, right? But you get the impression that his arms and legs are in arm and leg sockets. Right?
Yeah, they must
He's
at least
not
be a
just
little
like-
bit into it. Like.
He's not just like cramped up in a box. It's not that big. It's around his size, just slightly elongated. So he's still in the arms. He's like standing like Jesus on the cross with his arms out or whatever, moving them still or something.
Daniel dying
Right?
for our sins, you know.
And then they're like,
I wish he did.
Just transform, Daniel. So like, would his limbs not just snap? Like he's just like,
You hear this-
well, whoops, forgot he's not made of Transformer stuff, so he's dead now. Like,
You know when you hear the clicking sound, ching, 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 that's literally his bones breaking.
Yeah.
it's him.
I'd
just-
love if that was intermixed with his screams.
the glass dome just filling with blood.
I couldn't do it anymore. At that point, I was just like, nah, man, this movie's done. I can't do this anymore.
But eventually the Autobots that landed on Junkion in the first place catch up with the Quintessence ship Autobots, and they do it again. And Kazi, I'm going to let you do the universal greeting.
Ba weep, grana weep, ninny bong.
And Kevin, and we're going to add Kevin to this part of the conversation. What do they do for the next 10 minutes in the movie?
Well, what happens is the universal greeting is so effective. You know, it moves the Junkions' hearts to the point where everyone breaks out into a song and dance.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'll
They
say
just-
maybe it's not 10 minutes. Maybe it's like 2-3 minutes. But there's a lot of gyrating of robots on screen.
Yeah, they throw
Yeah.
a party and everybody dances for a while.
Do you know
It-
what vibes it gave me? It gave me like the end of Star Wars vibes, where you see like everyone dancing
just about
after
to say
the
that.
Star Wars destroyed.
Like
and
the awarding of the medals scene.
No, the other
Or
one.
the other
It's
one.
it's the end of the end of episode 6, and they're all just like dancing and yub nub and all this kind of stuff. It reminded me of that.
Imagine if they put the Ewok party before the Death Star blew up, and also at the end of it they took Obi-Wan's corpse and put it back together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is when, yeah, where the Optimus Prime's brother, he is like Ultra Magnus, whatever, his brother, he gets brought back to life, and he goes, "Huh? You're all alive?" And Hot Rod goes, "The Matrix."
Matrix.
Like that's acting on it. Like that's the inflection. And he goes, "Oh no, it's been stolen." And this is when we find out that Galvatron has fucked off with the Matrix, and he starts trying to threaten Unicron, which seems like a silly move. Like
Yeah.
he lands on Unicron and just goes,
Yeah,
"Fuck
yeah,
you,
'cause
you're mine now."
a bit we missed from earlier is that Unicron turned Megatron into Galvatron and told him he needs to destroy the Autobots and destroy the Matrix, because the Matrix is the only thing that stands in Unicron's way. So Megatron is like, Galvatron is like, "Oh, well, I have a plan here. I'm going to take the Matrix of whatever the Fortitude or whatever the hell it's called, and I'm going to use it to destroy Unicron."
Doesn't know how it works, by the way.
Doesn't know
No
how,
idea.
none of them know how,
No,
none of them know
it's-
what it
it's-
is.
Do
or
you
how it
think he was
works.
do you think he was on a spaceship and just like shook it a few times? How do you
Well,
work?
see,
He's just
they're
like,
all-
this is gonna be easy. I know how this works.
Yeah, like they're all
The
they know that they have to open it, because like Optimus Beta and Galvatron both try to like pull it apart from its like casing, and they can't do it obviously because Hot Rod caught the snitch first, and they can't. Like,
See, I'm also wondering, are they just opening it wrong? Because later in the movie, Hot Rod is the only one who tries to use the finger holes to open it.
That's a fair point. You know, I never thought about that. Maybe they just did a bad job of like, no, you got to do it with your elbows, with your fingers, then you got to pull there. That's how it works, okay?
I gotta rewind a little bit to Ultra Magnus trying to open it. He just takes out because Galvatron's cornering him, and he pulls out, and he's like, "Oh, Matrix of Leadership, later, darkest day," and he's just, I gotta open this. he's just pulling it, just trying
Yeah.
really hard.
yeah, and I like how he thinks that the darkest moment for his entire race is just him dying.
Yeah.
That night. It's like,
Oh, this-
me, Ultra Magnus, I'm the most important one in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, Optimus maybe didn't pick the right person.
He did say he
Yeah.
wasn't ready. He told you.
Yeah. No, Optimus, I'm not ready. Neither was I. Maybe now. No, I'm not ready. You stop.
Optimus didn't tell him about the time that he'd literally beat someone to death with the Matrix in his youth.
That's how Optimus Prime used it. He just held one
Yeah.
in there. Oh, bang! Oh,
He just thought it was a small club.
Anyway, Unicron basically laughs at Galvatron. He goes, "This is not going to stop me," and he transforms into his, person shape. Is there a technical term for this, or?
I think person shape is about as scientific as it's going to get with this.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and then Unicron starts attacking Cybertron, like he's hugging it, standing on it. He's near it.
Yes, he's standing on it at one point, definitely. And he's running his fingers through it quite sensually for a planet to stroke another planet that way.
They don't do perspective very well in any of the animation in this. When Unicron first becomes person shape, he looks like he's bigger than Cybertron.
Yeah.
And then in the next shot, it's him like punching Cybertron, and Cybertron is clearly way bigger than he is. And then he's standing on Cybertron. And then at the end, when he blows up, he's in the sky. He looks bigger than Cybertron again. So I don't know.
Yeah. I will say, I think they did perspective fairly decently in a lot of shots, especially when you had panning cameras. But scale wise, they just they didn't. Scale doesn't.
Yeah, it was roulette. It was roulette.
Yeah.
Which made it even harder to tell some of the Transformers apart.
Yeah. So we eventually see the Quintessence cruiser, or the ship that they were on, the Autobots, and they fly towards Unicron. This being that we have been now told is impervious to like giant bombs and like just crunching through planets, no bother to him, and it flies through his eye.
Yeah,
the ship.
Mm-hmm. He's got a glass eye.
Zero fanfare, by the way. There's no like triumph or massive like, oh, we did it, we're inside Unicron. No, they just crash into his face.
They could have done like a struggling thing when it's on the glass itself and it's cracking stuff, but it's like pop.
No, I mean, the sound. There was no room for that because the soundtrack throughout this movie is constant like 80s Scorpions, Def Leppard, like I'm on a rock, well, like heavy guitars and shit play. Yeah. So like you can't pick a moment now to have any sort of fanfare because the whole movie's been that. It's just non-stop.
Well, there's one moment of fanfare right at the end, and it's a song they've already played once.
Yeah,
we'll get to that in a second. So, and then the Dinobots attack Galvatron as well, and Unicron as well. They easily rip holes into him.
This is the point where we find out Unicron has actually been made of paper mache this whole time.
Yeah, because they get through him. And now at this stage, I got to assume that there's no more atmosphere around him. Like there's no air that could possibly be around there. But look, they're all inside, and they all fall into different places in the ship. And we see a big line of Autobots and Decepticons that are being eaten by a liquid vat. And we see Daniel's dad, Spike, and Daniel has to save him by. Does he pokes his thruster upwards on his?
He shoots a lid closed.
Yeah, well, it's one of the best lines in the movie, I think, because Spike is like dangling from a crane, and Daniel is down there going, "I need to save you, Dad," and Spike goes, "Shoot the lid, son," and Daniel goes, "But I don't have a gun."
and no, it's followed up by the only well acted line in the movie when Spike turns around, it's like, "Just shoot it, son! Just do it!"
You know what? Like... I'm really surprised that that TV show called Cyber Chicken, Robot Chicken. Sorry, so much like Transformer stuff in my head. Cyber Chicken, Cybertron Chicken. Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't done a scene of that. They surely must have thought of it at least, because that seems like definitely where the father's trying to be patient with the son as the father's about to be killed. It's okay, son. All you have to do is shoot the lid closed. And is quickly losing his patience. Going, "You little shit! Will you fucking shoot the lid?"
I'm about to fucking die.
Also, there's loads of rivers and waterways inside of Unicron. Like it's full. Like every second scene has like a stream of water. Yeah.
Yeah. It's piss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you said this when we were watching it.
It's engine fluid.
Where's the piss from?
Engine fluid. Then. It's motor oil. I don't know.
Who sourced all this?
He's eaten planets. He's probably eaten a few oceans.
Who sourced all this? Now you're asking who's God in the Transformers universe?
Yeah.
Who created Unicron?
Go on then. I'm asking.
I don't know. They
Let's
don't,
go
they, they don't know that.
You're
that-
asking
is he
questions.
bas-
You're asking questions the movie isn't prepared to answer.
Isn't like the whole thing that he's meant to be like the devil version of like the Cybertron faith, and Cybertron itself is like God or something along the lines of that?
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, look, what else is there? Like they fight their way out. Eventually, they
Hot Rod fights Galvatron in the middle of Unicron and pulls the mate. Oh, Galvatron tries strangling a robot.
that happened for a while.
And it's successfully choking him out until Hot Rod pulls the Matrix from around his neck, puts his fingers in the fingers holes and opens it up correctly.
Yeah,
And becomes Rodimus Prime, the new marketable Optimus Prime. Rodimus Prime.
Rodimus
So-
Prime. Like, I mean, if that's
See,
not
Optimus
a name
makes
for
sense because it's optimization or something. But Rodimus, and
Rodimus Prime,
the
yeah. I
best
think
thing.
that's what people called their dick
What's
in the 80s.
and what's his second form? What's the second
It's a
form?
hot rod truck.
It's a hot rod truck. So trucks in this universe, I'm going to assume, have like a higher authority than smaller vehicles,
Yeah.
like in real life.
Also, when you get the Matrix leadership, you have the ability to summon at will a trailer to attach to your truck form.
Yeah. And Optimus Beta is a truck
yeah.
as well, isn't he? He's like a military truck thing with like missiles on his back.
Did we ever see him transform in the movie?
I think like during the first assault on Autobot City, he turns into like a blue military truck with like missile launchers on the back.
He does, yeah. That's right.
Okay.
And yeah, so
In that case, he's just waiting for his trailer.
and, you know what? And like so, eventually, Galvatron gets taken down, and then Unicron gets taken down. And Kevin, you can now tell me the rest of the movie. That's very easily smooths into the final scene.
Okay, so they open up the Matrix. They start. Unicron blows himself up.
He does.
Really, it's really just himself.
Yeah, he gets his leg off.
The team. In case you were wondering how weak he was, the Autobot team literally drive out the other eye they didn't go in, quite easily, without the aid of a drill-shaped spaceship this time. The writers decided to yada yada how they got back to Cybertron, I think, because I don't think we see them get picked up.
It very quickly just goes back to Earth, I believe, where it just shows.
No, they're in the capital city on Cybertron.
Is it?
Yeah, they're in Cybertron.
And stuff.
They just
never mind.
drive out of his eye and then like float gracefully down to Cybertron, I guess.
Yeah,
And it's just Hot
because
Rod
that's how it
going.
works.
It's just Hot Rod going, "We saved the day," and that's it.
Yes, and unity is for everything. And then they all start chanting like a cult. And then Unicron's head.
Yeah.
Don't forget the freeze frame at the
yeah.
end of the movie.
Oh, the freeze frame, yes. So we see Unicron's head floating in space ominously. It starts turning around a planet and then just stops with a back turn to it. That's it.
Mhm. Yeah, it's the worst freeze frame I've ever seen in a movie. Bar none, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose we can go on to our next segment then.
I need to make a call here, all right?
Okay.
There's no Jesus moment this week. There can't be.
The whole movie's a Jesus moment. you mean.
We've spent almost an hour just talking about the utter
Explaining the
chaos of this movie. There's nothing. There's surely nothing left. There can't.
And then
be.
why don't we discuss our favorite character from the movie?
Off you go, Kevin.
Okay, so my favorite character was Galvatron, simply because the movie was so chaotic that every time he spoke, I had the feeling of, oh, Leonard Nimoy's in this movie every time. So it was really nice to keep finding out Leonard Nimoy was in this movie because I just forgot every time.
Yeah, okay. I don't have a favorite Transformer in this, to be honest. So,
Mine was Optimus Prime because he had the sense to die at the start.
what about Choo Choo
It
Train?
was Astro Train.
Oh, Astro Train's pretty cool too, though. To be fair.
I kind of like the old fella Cup, just because
Cup?
he was just constantly giving out about people, and I felt
Dad,
he
when I
was in
said
it there.
at the beginning of this movie, when at the beginning of this podcast, when I said Cup was everyone's favorite Transformer, I was making a joke.
I
You didn't
think
have to
he's
agree.
lying.
I mean, yeah, it's very on brand for Dan to like the elder statesman
yeah,
of the group.
Yeah,
That's fair. And since Optimus died, I guess Cup was what's left.
yeah, yeah.
Well, that leaves final thoughts, guys.
Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's over now.
Okay.
Yeah. Final thoughts. I want to just give a little bit of tiniest bit of leeway to this movie. Just the tiniest bit, okay? None of us really were kids when the first series came out.
Thank God.
We don't know context. We don't know most of the cast. It felt like 10 minutes into it, they introduced 50 characters, and I knew maybe 3, 4 tops. So I'm sure there is a level of ignorance on my part, but I honestly don't think context would have improved it in any way whatsoever.
I don't think watching the cartoon would have given us that context.
Yeah.
I think the cartoon was just this in smaller pieces. Just
Right.
every week,
Less budget.
Here's a new toy that does things and some explosions. Way to go, kids! Enjoy your ADHD.
Jesus Christ. Well, see, remember, Kevin, we were talking about trying to get cancelled here? That's
Yeah.
the one trying to get out the
Yeah.
front there.
I get. You know what? Guess what? I'm gonna spearhead right into my cancellation.
Okay, go
I'm
on.
sorry, Michael Bay. I'm sorry. The movies weren't that bad.
I honestly, yeah, no, I'm with Kevin on this one.
Yeah.
I would
I mean,
like
I still
to-
don't think they're great movies, but
Mhm.
I think they were cohesive to an extent. That
Mhm.
as a movie should be, it had a beginning and an ending and a middle part that
Yeah,
kind of
you
worked with each other.
you had a character and plot to follow from the start till the end of the movie. And in this movie, it's so chaotic and scatterbrained.
Yeah.
It's impossible to tell what is happening at any moment.
Yeah.
We got
Cossy's-
we actually got a comment in from somebody on Twitter regarding this. This comes in from Adam Tracy at Phantom Adzi, who said in reference to this movie, I know it was aimed at kids and it had to be colourful, but it was borderline acid trip levels of colour at times. Next to Jurassic Park, it has one of my favourite soundtracks, minus the random Weird Al song in it. It has one hell of a cast from Orson Welles to Leonard Nimoy.
It does.
And unlike the Michael Bay movies, it had a fairly okay story instead of just, here's the MacGuffin and some explosions for good measure, as well as kick-starting a long history of killing Optimus Prime.
You know, they had me there at the beginning.
Yeah.
Lost me there.
They
at
had,
the last part,
they
to
had
be
us in the
honest.
first half, not going to lie.
I agree with everything up until it's not just a story where a MacGuffin is set up at the beginning and then it solves every problem at the end. That is literally this movie. That is the only plot in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly is. I don't know. It's always hard arguing with nostalgia. People have fond memory of this, even though their hero died. People have, happy memories of the toys they played with. It's connected to a lot of things that made them happy. Like, let's be fair about this. And there's stuff that we probably like, which would be considered shite to kids maybe 10 years younger than us.
Yeah, definitely.
But Kazi said something during the movie, which I think is probably the best estimation of this movie. It's like you're at a toy convention and there's a screen near the Transformer stand and they just have animation running on a loop to give the vibe of Transformers. And this is what this movie is. It's just it's like an ad for 2 minutes, but they had like almost 2 hours worth of it.
Yeah, they took like a 6-month long promotional ad campaign for Transformers that was supposed to be like thrown on TV in like 2-minute bite-sized pieces and strung it all together into an hour and 20 minutes of chaos.
Yeah.
And like that is just the movie. It's just chaos. There isn't an element in this movie that is in any way orderly with anything previous or following. You know, if something appears on screen, it's a new rule that is not going to be followed.
We made a joke that kids cried about 10-15 minutes into this because Optimus Prime died. I feel like the parents who were with the kids probably started crying about half an hour into this movie.
Yeah, and that's just from the eye strain alone.
Yeah. It's very painful. Like,
so
Kazi was talking
hard
about
to
seizures
look-
at the beginning.
It's so hard
Yeah.
to look at. Like there's so much.
Yeah.
There's no way this gets released today without some sort of. This is like, is it that like missing Pokemon episode that they had to pull off TV in Japan and worldwide?
Yeah,
because
the
it was
Polygon episode,
that was
yeah.
giving people seizures. Like, this does
Yeah.
not get released today with this much flashing lights and nonsense and
No.
colors and stuff.
No, this movie is essentially a war crime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
look,
you could use it as a torture device.
Yeah.
Just play 24 hours in a cell.
I give up State Secrets, but I didn't have to watch Transformers anymore.
They start the beginning and you're like, no, I'll tell you where it is. I'll tell you.
See, the thing is, though, if there's even any fans still listening to this, which I somehow doubt because you're probably hating us now, give us a breakdown of why you like this movie. Give us reasons, because I felt so detached because I talked to a few friends, a few older friends of mine, and a younger friend of mine who's actually a fan of this, and they were all of them were saying like they loved this movie. It made them feel so excited. It was fun. It was action packed. Like it's really like a childhood favorite. But I'd love to know. Go on.
I would like to ask of them, when is the last time they watched it?
I will say I have a friend. She's 20 years old, and the last time she's watched it when she was 15. So
Like-
it's not too far back.
See, I actually, because I'm the only one here who watched this movie previous to this,
Yes.
which is why I wanted to sit in on it. Just to lend a different perspective, but ended up being the same perspective. But
Sure
I watched this as a kid, because my dad was like, "Here's the Michael Bay one," and it was a lie, and I watched this instead. But I remember. Well, I don't remember if I enjoyed it or not, but I remember there being a plot. I remember following something. And like in my teenage years, I must have filled in the blanks of a plot line. You know, I think my brain was like, yeah, Hot Rod definitely had a character arc where he became a leader. That never happened in this movie. It was, he picked up the Matrix at the start, and at the end, he was the leader because he did it at the start, or something with finger holes.
Kevin, watch the cartoons.
No, I never watched the cartoons. No, I have as much context for this movie as you do.
Yeah.
Other
It's
than
like-
having watched the movie.
This movie, it's like, it's the film equivalent of that thing that hangs above a baby's crib to keep them occupied while they're lying there.
Man, I
You
have
just-
friends who are going to hate me.
You just stick it in front of them and it's all bright lights and flashing colors and cool sound effects and loud music, and they just go, Transformers! And it's like, cool.
Yeah,
They're
It's a
occupied
teenage
now.
it's also
I
a
think.
great parenting. Yeah, it's great also to find out. No, I'm not going to say that's too dark a joke.
I know, but I mean, it's probably what the Power Rangers was for me, I guess, when I was a kid. It's the same.
Actually,
yeah.
There's a fair point. There's
Yeah.
a fair point. Like, would someone who's younger or who wasn't in Transformers look at Power Rangers the same way that we do?
Probably. And we'll find out next
yeah.
week on Sure It'll Be Grand when we watch Mighty Morphing Power Rangers. the
We
movie.
actually are, folks. He's not even taking the piss. We are actually doing that next
Yeah.
week. But look, I genuinely want some answers in the comments. tell us we're
Some-
idiots, but give us
someone
points
has to
of why
answer
you
for
think
this.
this movie is good. Like, give us some good reasons, because I am baffled that this was any way a success. You know?
And on the off chance that anyone who worked on this movie, sees this in the comments, can you please say, can you sleep at night?
Yeah.
Does this haunt you?
I think we'll leave it at that. So we hope you don't hate us too much. And we want to say thank you to Kevin. Thank you for joining us.
No
I
worries.
hope you had a great time slagging this movie as much as we did.
I sure did.
A little peek into the future. We have some plans of watching some Godzilla movies in future, and we probably would love to get Kevin back on for that, because he certainly knows things about Godzilla that we just don't.
Yes, I may be a big fan of those movies. Perhaps, who knows?
Yes. So
I definitely
hey,
am.
Kevin, Monkey versus Nuclear Factory. Who?
Oh, you have to hit me with the hard questions, don't you?
You can answer it next time. It's fine.
I'll answer it next time.
Okay.
If the next time comes out after the movie comes out, then it's going to be a bit embarrassing to answer that question.
That's it. First, so we want to say thank you, everyone. Please like and subscribe. Give us any counterpoints you have. Suggest movies we might like to watch. Maybe even suggest some TV shows. And I think that's it for that. And everyone say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hang on, I need to try this. Bong nini weep grana weepba.
Is that the goodbye for the
It's
universal?
the universal greeting backwards.
Oh,
It's the universal.
that's how
goodbye.
language works.
Actually, that's unfortunately the one thing about Transformers lore I know is that is actually a horrible thing to say. That's essentially heiling Megatron.
Why didn't they use it to talk to Megatron? Maybe Megatron would have gone, "Hey, we should party," But that's
Yeah,
it for us.
that-
And goodbye, folks.
Asherlo. It'll be grand.